Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. So today is the anniversary of Kendrick Lamar's debut or major label debut album, Good Kid, M.A.A.d, City, right? Released on 10/22/2012. It's 13 years ago. I thought it would be cool if we revisited an interview that I did with Kendrick right like days before the album dropped. It was either on October 19th, 2012 or October 20th. The whole night kind of lasted. We started on the 19th and went past midnight and went into the 20th. We were in Las Vegas. And so felt like I wanted to revisit that. I found the article. I'm going to read the article today. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the backstory. And we're going to get into it. So please like, subscribe, comment, hit the hype button. Please share. Please subscribe, man. I need them subscription numbers to go up. I need this hype to go up. So hit those buttons, all right? So I was out in Vegas for a Cash Money shoot. I was working for MTV News at the time. I forgot which video they were shooting, but I would regularly cover the making of videos. We did a lot of Cash Money videos. Cash Money gave my team over at MTV a lot of access. So it could have been a Lil Wayne video, I forget, or it could have been a Birdman video or one of those Rich Gang projects. I forget what it is because we were in Vegas so many times with Cash Money, but flew out there, and of course MTV pays for my travel. Flew out there for Cash Money, did the job, and then later that night Kendrick had a show in Vegas. You know, we were in Vegas, so at the Hard Rock Cafe, it was him, it was Ab-Soul, it was J-Rock, I believe Stally was on the bill too. I remember he performed Cartoon and Cereal that night, like without gunplay, but that was the first time and the only time I seen him perform Cartoon and Cereal, so that was ill. And I have pictures from the show. I dug through my old Instagram and you know, so you just kind of like stills from the show and stuff like that. And you know, I think people have footage on YouTube. So he performed Cartoons and Cereal that night. I remember that. And this is a couple of days before Good Kid, M.A.A.d City is coming out. So I'm at the show. And Rhett One, shout out to Rhett One, who used to work over at TDE. If you don't know Rhett, listen to the Heart Part 6 on GNX when Kendrick says Rhett pushed the label, the same amongst the savages. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's Rhett. So shout out to Rhett One, man. Dope dude. Rhett invited me to the studio after the Kick It. Or maybe Kendrick did. Maybe Kendrick was like, yo, come to the studio. And Rhett like coordinated that, yo, we're going to be here or whatever, right? I remember Andres Hale, who was also doing something. I believe he was doing something for Jay-Z's Life and Times site. I believe he was there that night too. But, you know, again, I was just looking on the internet to see what I can find from this thing. Look, here's a post. Here's a Twitter post of Kendrick just tweeting about the night. Las Vegas, Nevada, 1019 Hard Rock Cafe, and they're trying to sell tickets. Look at how many replies. This 2012, 14 replies to this tweet, 78 retweets, 51 hearts. And also he's 6 days from the show. He tweeted this on October 13th for a show the following week and pushing tickets, and clearly the tickets haven't sold out yet because he's still pushing the tickets. So look at how far he's come and how hard he's worked to get where he's at now. Now he's doing stadiums. So I'm headed to the studio and I asked them if it's cool. Yo, can we do an interview? You know what I'm saying, for MTV News? They said, of course. You know, again at that time, trying to build awareness, it made a lot of sense to do an interview. We you know, we were cool. So yeah, of course, yeah, whatever you need, yo, let's do it. So the album was out in a few days. I knew it was going to be a moment. I had interviewed him for MTV News since Section 80. I had interviewed him, maybe just going back a little bit for those. I told the story before, but I first met Kendrick when I was working at Double XL, the freshman cover, the one with rest in peace Nipsey Hussle and J. Cole and J-Rock. And Kendrick, it was J-Rock's cover opportunity. Kendrick was at that shoot. That's when we first met. Then there was the Double XL freshman concert we built there. There were a couple of opportunities leading up to that. And then the next cover, the next year, Kendrick was on the Double XL freshman cover all on his own. So we had built a relationship from there. So yeah, I asked to do an interview. They said, of course. I knew the album was going to be a moment and it was going to be elevation from Section 80. There was all the buzz about him being on a major label, him being signed to Dr. Dre. The tracks had started to leak online. Recipe was out, and Swimming Pools was out. Swimming Pools was the moment, right? And So tracks that started to leak online. So, but I didn't have an advance of the album, so I'm listening to the leaks online to kind of gather questions and try to figure out what kind of interview I'm going to conduct with Kendrick. So I'm there for MTV News. I'm going to do this interview. I'm a full-time employee for MTV News. I didn't have to sign the timesheet. My check was the same no matter how many hours I worked. So I worked all types of hours, especially when I was out on the road. New York. I'm living in New York and I'm in Vegas, so I'm out there. I'm out there for work, so I'll work all night if I had to, if it meant getting a good story. But the cameraman who was out there with me from Vegas, he was from LA. He was only flown out to Vegas for MTV to do the Cash Money video shoot. And he needed his supervisor, his manager, to approve him to do the Kendrick thing. He needed somebody to sign off on those hours. Shout out to James Lucina. I haven't spoken to James in mad long. Great dude. He was 100% down. He's just following protocol. He needed the approval. So I call into NY. It's mad late because it's a 3-hour time difference. And I'm like, yo, I need y'all to approve his timesheet. And so we could do this Kendrick interview, and I got some pushback, like on some, yo, do we really need this? Like, is this necessary? It's late. It's after midnight. Like, do we really need this? Or is this just an artist that you like? Because I used to get that a lot. Like, yo, it's just because you like this artist. Like, it's not gonna really do traffic. Is this a big story for us? And so I was asked that question, and I'm like, nah, we need this interview. This album's coming out in a few days. It will be good for us to have content surrounding Kendrick on the week that his album comes out. This is a good interview for us, for MTV. And they approved it. I definitely got like pushback, and it wasn't like a ton of convincing, but it was definitely like a conversation like, yo, do we really need to sign off on this? But they signed off on it. We went to the studio. Like I said, Andreas Hale was there. Shake from Two Dope Boys was there. And Dot is in the room in the studio recording Heart Part 3. He's watching him record the Heart Part 3 and put it together. At this point, the show was over. So like I said, the day might have started on October 19th, but I think it's the 20th now. If my, crossovers to midnight is the 20th. If my memory serves me correctly. Andreas Hale might know something different. Shake might know something different. That's how my memory serves. After he finished the song, Andreas interviewed him, or maybe I interviewed him first and then Andreas went next. But I didn't have the album, just those loose tracks. So, we just talked about his approach to his first major label album, how he was feeling about that. Because that was a big thing, again, to go from a quote-unquote blog rapper to cross over and get a major label deal and put an album out was still kind of a big thing and a talking point. So we talked about that. And then we talked about the connectivity from past music. Because that was something I noticed in the leaked tracks. I didn't have everything, but I noticed like Master Splinter's daughter, like Shireen, like that whole story, the van on the cover. I'm like, oh, that's the story he started to tell us on PMP, on Pussy and Patron from the Kendrick Lamar EP. So I'm starting to connect the dots with the bits and pieces of Good Kid that I got, right? And then we spoke about Keisha's song from Section 80 and how that was referenced on Sing About Me Dying of Thirst. So I'm starting to talk about the connectivity and how, though this is a new album, he's been planning this for a while. He's been seeding the stories that were on this album, seeding the stories that the album told for a while. The video's no longer online. I wasn't on camera for the video. It was one of those things where I'm behind the camera. I asked the question and I tossed the mic back and forth because we only had one camera. So I'm not on camera for this. The video's no longer online. If you watch the channel, you heard me talk about how MTV pulled all of their content offline, so none of this stuff exists. But through the Internet Archive, I found the article and I was able to pull it up. And I'm going to read it now. I'm also going to put the link in the bio so you can read it. But I thought it would just be cool to revisit where I was at and what was going on. So, and I'll put it on the screen. But like I said, link in bio so you could definitely check it out for yourself. This is through the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archives. The headline was Kendrick Lamar delivers Good Kid, M.A.A.d City with no compromise. Subhead: on his first major label album, MC defies expectations by choosing to continue what I'm doing, by Rob Markman. I put there's an expected course of events that transpires whenever an underground rap artist signs a major label record deal. Kendrick Lamar, however, has made his short career by turning over expectations. Instead of succumbing to the usual call to make something for crossover radio, K-Dot chooses to tell his story on his uninterrupted Top Dog Aftermath Interscope debut, Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. So we start with a quote. "No compromises at all," Kendrick told MTV News of his LP from a Las Vegas studio early Saturday morning. "They told me to go and continue what I'm doing. Interscope, Dre, continue what I'm doing." Then you see the little, like, I could press play for the video in that article, but it doesn't play. It doesn't lead anywhere. It continues. And then you can kind of see, if you look to the left where it says related video, that's the video. But if you click there, it just doesn't lead anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But it says, in every sense, Good Kid is a continuation of the story K-Dot began to tell on his 2009 mixtape, The Kendrick Lamar EP, and throughout last year's indie LP, Section 80. On the album opening, Shireen, a.k.a. Master Splinter's daughter, fans are officially introduced to a seductress whom they knew all along, not by name, but by reputation. After meeting Shireen at a house party, Kendrick hijacks his mother's van and is lured to a rendezvous 5 songs later on the Drake-assisted Poetic Justice. It's the same rendezvous that Kendrick referenced on 2009's PMP, where he winds up in the wrong neighborhood caught in the middle of a gang beef. In fact, for the entire album, there's young Kendrick caught in the middle. On The Art of Peer Pressure, the spirited consummate MC rides shotgun while his homies break into someone's home. And on M.A.A.d City, he mistakenly smokes marijuana laced with angel dust. The album's M.A.A.d acronym stands for My Angels on Angel Dust. And here's a quote from Kendrick. "They wonder why I rarely..." Okay, this is a quote. My bad. This is a quote from, I quoted a lyric. "They wonder why I rarely smoke now. Imagine if your first blunt had you foaming at the mouth." He raps painting the picture. So, you know, I'm talking about how M.A.A.d City advances that story. To balance out the evils, each track is bookended by frantic voice messages from his mother that get more desperate each time out as she urges her son to choose the right path and avoid the perils of LA gang life. Sadly, even when Lamar uses his voice for good, there are consequences. The 12-minute long Sing About Me, I'm Dying to Thirst tells a few stories. One of a deceased friend who, when he was alive, made K-Dot promise that he'll dedicate his raps to him. Another track narrative harks back to last year's tragic Keisha song from Section 80. With the second verse of Sing About Me, Kendrick raps about the backlash that he received from Keisha's real-life sister, who chastised the rapper for revealing intimate and embarrassing details of the slain prostitute. "My sister died in vain, but what point are you trying to gain?" he raps, mimicking Keisha's sister. The power of Good Kid, M.A.A.d City is apparent in his storytelling and sharp attention to detail. Even Lamar's latest single, The Drinking Old Swimming Pools, comes after a skit where the rapper is passed some alcohol to ease the pain after he was beat up for going to see Shireen on the wrong side of town. There's a typo in there. To keep a consistent narrative flowing through the course for an entire album is a tall order, even for hip-hop's greatest storytellers like Nas, Slick Rick, Ice Cube, Ghostface Killah, and Scarface. But leave it to Kendrick Lamar to deliver the unexpected. So that was kind of like a review that I wrote. It wasn't like a review per se, but that's kind of what I wrote morning of. But by the time I write this, I have the album. I've listened to the whole album. Like, remember I said it was leaking out. By the time I like this and this comes out on October 22nd, I had listened to the whole album already and surmised it. So I kind of knew more so what I was talking about. And I only used one quote from our interview. We definitely had an interview, and we didn't use everything from the interview because the way MTV worked, if I interviewed him for a half hour, MTV would chop it up into like 3-minute segments. But if it was Jay-Z, they would have chopped the whole thing up, right? And put the whole thing out. But because Kendrick was a smaller artist, it was hard for me to get edit time. Like, they were like, okay, we could spend time editing this Kendrick thing, but then our editors aren't doing something else, right? So it was a fight for resources to get somebody to cut up the clips and edit the video for you to put out. So even if we spoke for a half hour, only the audience maybe only might have seen 3 minutes, 5 minutes, at most 10 minutes of that, and the rest got left on the cutting room floor. I don't know where that stuff is now. Hindsight, I should have kept all that for myself and saved it. But I gotta look and find. But what this tells me, I only use one real quote from Kendrick in this kind of review. So that means that I wrote other articles based off of what we actually talked about in that interview. You know what I'm saying? I just can't find it because MTV took everything down. So, I mean, I'm going to continue searching if I find it. But just a piece of history, I figured to celebrate the anniversary, this might be a cool way to do it. And if you look, I changed the vinyl in the background. We got Dan, we got GMX, we got Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. I got to find my To Pimp a Butterfly vinyl. And I think I got Mr. Morale too. I got to look. But that's it, man. So, shout out to y'all, man. Thank y'all for watching, man. Just a little bit of history. This part of my history, this legacy, man, that I've built. So when I come up here and talk on this channel with y'all, it don't come out of nowhere. I've been around and I did the work, man. So I appreciate y'all sharing that with me. And, hopefully y'all go back and listen to Good Kid, M.A.A.d City today, man. That still holds up. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. All right. Peace.